Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Check them out online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Great end-of-the-year specials, holiday specials rolling through over at Go Chevrolet. New car lot out in LaPlace with a used car lot right here in Baton Rouge. One of our favorites and one of the most gifted men in television talking about football is Booger McFarland. You can hear him chopping it up about the NFL, college football, everything between the lines. He is on ESPN talking about it, and he's joining us here now on the Jordy Culotta Show. It's great to catch back up with you, man. Good morning. Happy belated Thanksgiving and early Merry Christmas.
The same to you, buddy. What's happening?
Oh, man. It's been crazy down here in Baton Rouge the last 8 weeks, Boog, with everything that's been going on with the coaching search and how the season ended for LSU. What has been your point of view of LSU? We hadn't talked in a long time. What has been your point of view of LSU football here in the 2021 season and going into the announcement yesterday?
Well, here's what I'll say. I think I coupled the last 2 years together because of post-national championship, COVID this season, etc. LSU, 5-5 a year ago, 6-6 this year, 11-11. A 500 football team probably at the bottom. And I think if 500 is your bottom, I feel pretty good about where we're going now because making the announcement of Brian Kelly, it changes a lot of things because I think now you got a guy that's going to stand in front of the room who is a proven winner. He's won everywhere he's been. He's won at every level. And for the areas in which LSU was deficient in, I think BK is going to have as a strength, namely the offensive line. Like if you look at Notre Dame, he's always had a big, strong offensive line. He's always had really good tight ends. The quarterback play has been really good. And so I just think that you put his coaching expertise from an XO standpoint because he's an offensive guy that likes to get his hands in there. He's a physical football coach. Little mean streak in him. A little bit of brashness in him. A little bit of, hey, I'm going to get you better. I'm going to, MF you a little bit, which is what the best coaches need. Doesn't mean you have to be that way, but the best coaches need a little bit of that. And more importantly, I think you put him in Louisiana with the amount of talent that's in that state. I think good things are going to happen, man. And he wants a challenge, and the challenge he wants is to win a national title. LSU wants a coach that can help him do it again for the fourth time in the last 4 regimes. So I think it's going to be a win-win, man, and I can't wait to see him get started, putting his staff together, getting out in Louisiana, recruiting. And, a lot of people have made a lot of noise about the fit. Here's what I'll say about that, because that seems to be the hot topic of conversation. Does he fit? Les Miles was a Big Ten guy who came to Baton Rouge. He fit pretty good. Urban Meyer was a Midwestern guy that went to Utah, went down to Florida, fit pretty good. David had never seen Baton Rouge. When he took the job, he came down and fit pretty good. So what I decipher from all of that, Jordy, is that if you can coach football and you can relate to people, whether you quote-unquote fit in a certain area doesn't really matter. And just look no further than the last 7 years. I mean, LSU had what a lot of people would say is the perfect cultural fit. And you got to give Coach O a lot of credit for embracing where he's from and embracing Louisiana. He won a national championship, but eventually the fit kind of wore off. So fit is only important if you can win. And if you can coach football, I really don't think the cultural fit is that big of a deal.
You mentioned the last 3 guys that have been here, and they've all won national championships, and they've all been in the game within the first 3 seasons of being on the job. What is a fair expectation for Kelly, knowing what you know about the roster, where the program is, and him starting off today?
What I would say is I don't think the roster is in as good a shape right now. But you can fix that with the transfer portal and a good recruiting class. 3 to 4 years is probably the reasonable expectations to be in that arena where you should expect to be in that arena. If our offensive line was in better shape, then I may expedite that. But if you look at our offensive line, I don't really think it's in great shape. There's some levels of upgrading that the roster needs. But the great thing about it is I think, you got some good young talent at quarterback. You got Nussmeier, who I think is going to be phenomenal. He's got to be reined in a little bit. He's a little bit of a gunslinger. You got Walker Howard coming in, who's committed. You got Johnson there, who's my former teammate's kid.
Max.
And so Max Johnson. And so, the way I look at it is the quarterback position, which is still one of the most important positions, is in probably better shape than any of the time in, during, the other eras outside of Joe Burrow. So that room is pretty good. I think the secondary is going to be pretty good. The linebackers, so there's talent around LSU. I just think the offensive line, which is critical, has to be upgraded, and I think BK realizes that. And, with the transfer portal and the early signing period, I wouldn't be surprised if he focuses in on that position.
Boog, being a former player, seeing Brian Kelly leave an established job at Notre Dame to come and welcome the challenges, the SEC and LSU, and to welcome those pressures, does that give him a little bit more like a confidence to the players in the locker room? Like, hey, this guy wants here because he thinks that he can win. He wants all the smoke.
Yeah, I think that's a really good angle to look at because, people, it's kind of like, tomato, six in one hand, half dozen in the other one. A lot of people from the Notre Dame side or from one side are going to say, yeah, he has a team that has the possibility of playing for a playoff and he left them. Well, he also has a team that he's going to that he thinks can win a national championship, that the one he left, he didn't think could do that because he's tried a couple of times. So, yeah, if I'm a player and I have a positive outlook, that's the way I look at it. He chose us over a team that won 11 games perennially. And the fact that he chose me has to give me a lot of confidence. And I think the best way I've heard Brian Kelly described, and I think it's the way I'm going to describe him until I actually get a chance to meet him. Everybody who knows him, who's been around him, says he's a Midwestern version of Nick Saban. I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said, well, if you're around Saban, Saban is a little bit of a brash, hard. He is a little bit of a screamer. He'll get in your face, as we've all seen Nick Saban do. But he'll also put his arm around you and love up on you, and he'll coach you hard. And most of the players who play for Nick Saban and they buy into doing things the right way, they love Coach Saban. Most of the players who he gets on, who kind of go the wrong way, they don't like it. So a Midwestern version of Nick Saban, I got to think people in Baton Rouge would be okay with that.
Yeah, that'll work. I mean, if you remember when they introduced Saban, everybody was saying, I hear he's a dick, he's a jerk. A year and a half later, everybody's wearing mock turtlenecks. I mean, you just come down here and win. Booger McFarland from ESPN, talking head, who's talking NFL, college football all day, all the time on ESPN. He is also from Winsboro, Louisiana, an LSU All-American, a first-round pick of the Tampa Bay Bucks. Can Taysom Hill make any difference for the New Orleans Saints as he gets the start tonight versus Dallas?
Yeah. I think as a running quarterback, sure, he can make a difference. He's going to have to throw the football, though. He can't just run around. They're going to leave on that defense. And Taysom will get his opportunity. I think people have been waiting to see Taysom healthy, practicing, kind of running offense. And so he'll get his opportunity tonight. He just signed a new contract. And, his contract simply states this. If you're playing quarterback, you make X. If you're playing the Wildcat, Swiss Army knife role, you're going to make X. So if he wants to make the $100 million, he better figure out a way to play quarterback, and I think tonight is a good time to start.
This is a wide open question. I'm sorry to put this on you, but what has been the biggest story for you in the NFL up to this point? What team has captured your attention as we come down the stretch here?
I think it's the fact that the Green Bay Packers are now a complete team. They have a defense that's led by Joe Barry, and they are winning games and they are staying in games because of their defense. And that's got to be scary because they have, at the very worst, the second best quarterback in football, maybe the most talented quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. So if that's the case, you put a defense with that, and on top of that, if they get a home field advantage and you got to go to Lambeau, let me tell you, having played in Lambeau, in 0-degree weather when it's minus 15 wind chill.
That doesn't sound fun.
You can be the most professional guy you want to. That weather will make you quit.
It makes me want to quit, and I'm not in it.
There are a lot of teams that do not want any part of that. So, yeah, I think the fact that the Packers are where they are, to me, is a major storyline. I get it, Arizona's new, the up-and-comer, best record in football. But, yeah, Green Bay has kind of opened my eyes a little bit.
How impressive is 7-4, second in the AFC North, Cincinnati look to you right now?
7-4 is good, man. Again, it's a long season. So 7-4 is really like 7-3. Because you got an extra game just from a winning percentage standpoint. I think that, when you're 7-4, you got to get healthy. And you want to kind of, the last 5 or 6 games, particularly the last 4 games, you want to start to hum a little bit. And I think that's where they are. They got to get healthy and get ready to hum the last 3 or 4 games.
How good has Burrow been in year 2?
As good as advertised. Joe Burrow's that dude, man. Like he's got that demeanor, that attitude. He's got that moxie. He's got the intangibles that we saw in Baton Rouge, man. Yeah. And if they can just keep him healthy, man, at some point Joe's going to learn how to slide. And once he does that, then I think everybody in Cincinnati will be a lot happier. But I love Joe Burrow, man. Joe Burrow is one of the few quarterbacks that, if I'm stuck in a foxhole, I want him with me.
Yeah, that shot of him and T.J. Watt last weekend I thought was awesome. I mean, them going back and forth. We talked to his dad yesterday morning, and his dad doesn't have a lot of stresses in his life right now here as he's watching Joe kind of become a pro. Yesterday, his main concern was about his tee time that was for 11 o'clock in Cincinnati or in Athens, Ohio, and he was worried about the weather. It was going to be somewhere around 35 degrees. You play golf every day, but you do it in sunny Florida. What's the coldest weather you would play in, and what is the cutoff line for you? Because you do love the game, but how cold is it where you say, I ain't doing it?
Well, if it's a calm day, meaning no wind, I'll dip into the 50s. So 50, as long as it has a 5. As long as it has a 5 in front, I'll play with no wind. If it's windy, it might need to have a 6 in front of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
fair.
I feel that's a normal one.
What if Tiger Woods invited you to play golf with you? How low would the weather have to get before you would say no?
I like Tiger, but I'm not going to freeze for Tiger.
Who should LSU keep on staff? Is there any staff member that makes sense to you to keep for Brian Kelly standpoint?
Yeah, there's a lot of them that make sense. If you just look at the names that are positions that he needs to be filled, that are the best recruiters, yeah, keep those guys. I'm not going to name any names because here's what I'll say, and I tell everybody this. When they pay you $100 million, you better have it figured out. Mm-hmm. And that's what LSU gave him, and I'm pretty sure he'll figure it out. BK has been coaching a long time, man. BK's got relationships. He knows how to put together a staff. He's hired and fired a ton of people. Usually I get a little worried when it comes to all this stuff, but I feel really, really good that Brian Kelly, who has won, he's the all-time winningest coach at one of the most prestigious institutions in America, Notre Dame. He knows how to put together a staff. He also understands that, guess what? When I go to a new town and, the first thing if I want to get a house, I got to call who? I got to call the realtor. And the realtor's got to show me around, and they got to let me know, hey, here's a good part of the town, here's a good neighborhood. Well, guess who's the realtor? It's called the assistant coaches. So BK is not a dummy. I'm sure to show him where the neighborhoods are hotbed and recruiting spots. So he'll be fine. LSU will be fine. Scott Woodward has done an outstanding job. Scott, Burge Osbury, President Tate. I couldn't be more proud of where we are right now as an athletic program with Kim Mulkey, Will Wade. Now you add in Brian Kelly, and specifically from a football standpoint. I bleed purple and gold. There's no one man that's bigger than LSU, and so I'm always looking, always watching. And today is a day that I continue to hold my head high. No different than I did with Coach O, because I supported Coach O. But again, no one man is bigger than LSU, so Coach O has moved on, and so now we are in the Brian Kelly era, and I couldn't be happier, fellas.
That is a ringing endorsement from one of the best LSU football players in the program's history there in Booger McFarland, who you can catch just about every day talking some type of football on ESPN. Follow him on Twitter at ESPN Booger. It's great to hear from you, man. Thank you for the time as always.
Anytime, fellas. Y'all have a good one.
All right, man. There is Boog checking in this morning as it wouldn't be a Boog interview if there was no phone problem.
And they ever told you look like Booger McFarland?
I was like,
Deep
wait.
cut.
I was like, whoa, we're still on the phone?
Dude. The week of the
What
Super Bowl,
happened?
the week
What
of the
happened?
Super Bowl, we had him on, and the Super Bowl was in Tampa. It was in his hometown this year. And he was walking. He walked into a Starbucks and he was doing the interview, like as he's walking to the Starbucks, and the guy behind the counter says this. He says this to him.
Oh, don't go ahead.
When he walks
Well,
in.
I think he was driving his car. Was he pulling up through the drive-through?
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
And he was going through the drive-through line, and he told him that he gave him like the
kind of like
the hush. I'm on the phone. Don't say anything. And this is the first thing the guy says.
And they ever told you look like Booger McFarland?